okay, meditation changes lives. Behind every success, there is some type of meditation. Meditation is the backbone of any personal self-confidence strategy you might have, ranging from affirmations to visualization, to just inner peace, to dealing with adversity in life. Meditation is the one and only thing we can do. It's our one and only tool as human beings, and some would argue that it's our main responsibility to harness this tool and to improve as meditators. And scientifically speaking, meditation is probably the least contested field of or tool of improvement, meaning that even the most stubborn, critical, cynical scientists have a hard time finding something negative about meditation. We have meta-analysis with over 190 studies combined showing unanimously the positive effects of meditation. You don't find that with anything else. Take, for example, cold showers, which a lot of people swear by. I'm sure there are studies that can prove that to be negative. Take any particular diet. I'm sure you will find outliers in the studies that will prove you otherwise. Even coffee, right? There are studies that are showing positive effects of coffee. But with meditation, it's different, right? It's every single study out there proves a positive correlation with meditation. And with all that being said, let's still go through the negative side effects of meditation. Okay, number one, you will no longer enjoy alcohol. Okay, so when I first started meditating, let me first tell you how I got into it. I got into it first, the first like spiritual thing I encountered was the Law of Attraction. I saw the Law of Attraction movie by Rhonda Byrne, which was great. It landed me my first job, completely like the book described. Just visualized it happening, and then it happened in a very crazy way. Maybe I'll tell this story another time. And then later on, in the span of like the same 6 months, I encountered the Wim Hof method. I realized, hey, there's power in this human vessel, right? We can like experience these transcendental states through breathing, and we can, that helped me get rid of my allergies, for example. I haven't had allergies since. So I learned that I can actually consciously affect my body in ways that I didn't believe in before. And then shortly after that, I started going more into depth with, regular meditation. I found the Power of Now, which was like my entry point into this whole field. And after starting to meditate, I began to do the active meditation, which I believe is a natural progression, meaning that you no longer meditate in this sitting position and then go back to whatever you were doing before. No, you try to maintain that meditative state throughout your day when you're talking to other people, when you're doing your work, when you're waiting in line for the cashier, or when you're driving. Whenever you go about your day, you're still meditating, right? From the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, you try to maintain that meditative state as much as possible. And in the beginning, it's like you get like these small glimpses of meditative states, and then eventually you get like longer, more expansive periods. And before you know it, you learn to maintain this state throughout most of the day. And it's a really funny game once you start playing it. And anyway, so what happens is when you start to do this active meditation and you drink alcohol, in short, what happens is you lose your self-control. Because normally you can sort of, in the normal sober state, you're able to, after you've meditated for a couple of weeks maybe, you learn to observe your own thoughts. And the moment you become aware of your thoughts, they kind of dissipate. They dissolve into other things, and then maybe you have periods of stillness, and then other thoughts come in. When you drink alcohol, however, you lose that ability. The thoughts just start rolling in, and they go off in a certain trajectory, and you can't really dissipate and dissolve them the same way as before. So I noticed that, and I realized that alcohol essentially makes you lose self-control, right? This does not only apply to people who meditate, it applies to everyone, right? You lose your self-control because you can no longer dissipate the lanes of thought that occur in your mind. So if you are someone who's prone to negativity, that is gonna just go off and multiply itself, endlessly if you just keep drinking. If you're a positive, loving person, it's gonna be the same with a more loving outcome. But the most concerning thing is neither the loving drunk or the hateful drunk has any control of these outcomes. And that's not good, right? That's not good if you're someone who has learned the power of the presence and wants to be in that. So eventually you no longer enjoy alcohol, right? And eventually alcohol just drops out of your life. And I see that with absolutely everyone who starts meditating, who starts going into, some mindfulness practice. Number 2, you will no longer care about your job, career, and your finances. Now, this might only be a temporary effect, but I remember when I first discovered all this, I was working as an art director in a pretty cool job for my age, and I was, working my ass off 100 hours a week sometimes to please my boss and to please my own vision of myself in the future as one of the greatest advertisement directors in the world, and all I cared about was just winning these sales pitches. That's all I cared about. That's what I thought about from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to sleep. And then, ironically, in my pursuit of becoming the very, very best creative I could become, I discovered meditation and all these spiritual practices. And I thought, like, I'm going to use that as a tool. I'm going to use that as a tool to generate better ideas, to become a rapid idea machine, to become even more creative. But what happened was that once I discovered the joy of just being present in my own body and all the sort of immense power that we have in our own minds, what happened was that all those external things, like making sure that I was winning these pitches and that everyone was applauding me at the office, that was no longer interesting for me, because now I could generate the same exact feelings from within. I no longer needed any of that. And so my career started declining a little bit for a period. I was still attracting a lot of very, very cool opportunities. I opened my own business in that same year. On like a world level, I was having a lot of success, but what was more interesting was what was happening within, because I didn't really care about all those things anymore. I cared about the within. So I wasn't actively pursuing, maintaining my career, caring about my CV and all these things that before I would care about a lot. So that's just something to keep in mind. Like it's for a period, you will just, once you find that gold within, you stop looking for it on the outside. However, once you master your own mind, you can come back to, whatever material goals you had before and achieve them with much more ease and much faster and in a better way and more aligned with your current values than you would before. So in the long run, it's beneficial still, but just keep in mind that there is going to be a period where you are going to focus more on what's going on within, and you might fall out on some of your external goals, and especially if those external things are bound to validation and seeking approval of others, that is going to drop out completely out of your life, which is a good thing. You will realize your true purpose. You will realize what you would be doing if no one cared, right? You will be able to answer that question of what would you be doing if you were the last person alive right now, or what would you be doing right now if all your finances were already taken care of. You will be able to answer this question for yourself and align yourself with your true purpose in life. So it's a gift in disguise, really. Okay, number 3. You will become annoying and preachy for a while, and you might develop a spiritual ego. Okay, so this is natural for anyone who discovers something that just clicks, right? Something that works, something that changes their lives. Now, it's inevitable that you will become a bit of an annoyance to other people, because you will want the best for them, right? You will want the best for other people. You will want to share your experience, and you will just be like, why don't you just get it? Just read this book. Just try this method. Just go and meditate. I promise you it will work. And you will be met with a lot of frustration, right? Because these things have to happen for people on their own time. Like, people will seek out your guidance when they are ready for it. People will seek out the same information you recommended when they are ready for it, but only when they are ready for it. It has to happen from within. You cannot force this process on other people. But it's natural that you will try to help other people when you see they're suffering, when you see they're going through clouds of negativity, and you're like, wow, you just need to watch your breathing for 5 minutes. All these problems that, make your whole life turn upside down, they would all disappear in an instant if you just did this thing for 5 minutes. You're like, wow, you've been 2 years you've been thinking about this repetitive thought pattern. Just meditate. And you're like, it's understandable that you find this frustrating, but people need to do this on their own time. Okay, number 4, you start to listen more than you speak. So in the beginning, you realize that being present in a conversation is a very, very enjoyable thing. And you realize that if you have like a natural conversation with the average person, and you pace the conversation in a natural way, meaning you're not forcing your opinion, and you're giving enough time to the person you're talking to respond. If you do those two things, which seem completely common sensual, what happens is people will end up talking forever. And there's a couple of reasons for that, of course. Well, the first one is that the mind, if it's uncontrolled, and someone who doesn't meditate doesn't have control of their mind. So the average person does not control their mind, meaning that their mind just keeps running forever, right? It does not take breaks. And you're giving breaks, right? You're giving breaks by being someone who is very present in a conversation. So what happens is that this person just keeps on talking forever and ever and ever. Whenever they finish one point, they look around for 2 seconds. Before you get to even open your mouth, they are already on to something else. They just keep on rambling forever. It doesn't stop. It can go on for hours and hours and hours and hours. It does never stop. So you end up listening a lot more than you speak. And some people might even have this idea, especially if they're very attached to this old self, this ego identity. They will have this idea of you as someone who is quite insignificant, right? Someone who is just like, they can't really put a finger on it, like what it is you do. They find a certain peace around you, there's a calm energy around you, but they can't really put words on you, right? So in their mind, you're at best a little bit insignificant in their lives because you never really say anything. You're just like quiet. Are you a bit introverted? Are you okay? And it's like, obviously they don't understand what's going on, but at the same time, they're drawn to you, right? They're drawn to you, and they see this as a perfect outlet to, let go of all this thought, and you're offering this spaciousness for them to essentially slowly but surely evaporate their ego, right? All this chatter, all this rambling. It does come to an end. It doesn't come to an end in 4 hours, but maybe in like something like 4 million hours, it would come to an end. So you're offering that space of liberation to them. So it creates this magnetic energy in reality, but on the outside, they don't really understand what's going on, and you just seem a little bit closed and introverted to them. And yeah, so, but eventually, but again, that's also temporary. Eventually, you learn to identify these people very quickly, and you make a decision of either, you know, talking as well when it's appropriate, or maybe not even engaging with people like that in the first place. I mean, that's completely up to you. Number 5, you get frustrated when people don't choose their thoughts, right? So this is like, you could say, a natural progression from beginning to listen more than you speak. Eventually, you start wanting to guide people in the right direction, and then you find it frustrating. You find it frustrating that people are the way they are, right? And this will happen for a while. The sooner you can accept, you know, the human mind as it is, the better. The sooner you can stop taking things personally, the better. But for a while, you will get frustrated when you see that people, especially people you care about, don't choose their own thoughts. Like, why do you choose to think negatively? Why do you choose to believe everything you see on the internet? Why do you watch content that makes you feel doomed and negative? Why would you choose that, right? They don't even, you know, unless they are meditating and they have like gained some types, you know, some degree of self-control, unless they have practiced for a while, they don't even understand the very question. But for you, this is such a basic question, you couldn't even figure out a way to ask it in any more simple terms than, why would you choose to think of negative things? Why would you engage with negative people? Why would you think about your negative past if it doesn't serve you? Why would you have regrets? Why would you think angry thoughts? You're asking these simple questions, but they don't even understand the questions. And this can be frustrating. And then you have to realize, you know, they're not even there, right? They're not even fully there. They're not aware, right? Because awareness comes from practice. It comes from practicing your self-control. They are just running their own programs that they have set from God knows when. And you know, and you're not in the power to change that program unless they are ready for it, and then they would seek it out naturally. And then the whole conversation and the energy behind it would be very different from what you're used to. Then people come to you with more of an inquisitive energy, meaning that they are like actually listening to what you have to say and actually taking action on what you have to say. Not just letting the information come in through one ear and out the other. No, they take action on it, and you actually see the progress in them from day to day. And you know, and this is when you can obviously make the decision to you know, start mentoring people or start teaching people in some of these esoteric fields, if that's what you choose. But regardless, people are still going to come to you and ask for advice. But some are not, right? Some who are not ready are not going to do that. And you just have to accept that everyone has their own timelines, everyone has their own evolution to go through, and things happen on the right time. Anyways, right? The information is out there. Everyone I've ever met knows that meditation exists out there. Like they have some vague idea of what it is. So it's the willingness to do it and the willingness to explore it, and that has to come from within. So, and how do you meditate, right? I mean, there's like, you know, Buddha said there's like 9,000 ways to enlightenment, right? There's 9,000 ways. So there's, you know, you can watch your breathing, you know. I think most people do that, right? They sit and they watch their breathing. That's one way. And then you have 8,999 other ways, at least, right? At least that many other ways. You know, some people use self-inquiry. You know, that's the Socratic method. Some use religion as a gateway to meditation, you know, prayer. can be very, very powerful. And you have to find what works for you. And sometimes you find that on different days, different things work. One of my sayings is that today's revelation is the burden of tomorrow. You might find something that just seems like the key to all secrets of life today. But that very same key tomorrow is just going to be like a headache for you. You're going to be like, wow, that's such a frustrating thing. And the explanation is very simple, because the moment you find something that is perceived to be valuable, the mind sort of just takes it and conceptualizes it. And by that time, it's nothing more than just another thought. Affirmations is a good one, right? Affirmations allow you to kind of fill the void with positive thoughts. And for a long time, I've been struggling to kind of find the connection between, or the relationship between meditation, which means that you kind of let go of all thinking, and affirmations and positive thinking, which is all about having only positive thoughts, right? So what's the relationship here? Like, do I choose to not think at all, or do I choose to only think about positive things? And to answer this question in a simple way, it's like, you know, when people say they would rather cry in a Ferrari than in a regular car, it's a bit like that. You would rather be still and present in a positive body with a positive mind. And that's what it really comes down to. It's both, right? It's both. You need to learn meditation. You also need to master affirmations and to fill your mind with the thoughts that you enjoy having, right? The thoughts that propel you towards a better life for yourself and for the people around you. You need to learn both. Like, if you only have one, right? If you only have the meditation, what happens is you're just essentially just going with the flow, right? You're being still, but then also your life just kind of takes the turns that it does, and which is okay, right? It's not, but you know, who knows if you will end up homeless or a billionaire next year? No one knows that. You wouldn't even care. You might also have negative thoughts every now and then. You will have positive thoughts every now and then. It's a bit like whatever happens, happens mentality. But then if you learn affirmations and you learn to fill that void of, the void that happens once you learn to control yourself, if you fill that with positive affirmations, positive thinking, you know, love and high frequency and all these things, well, then you can say you go from accepting your reality to actually enjoying it and actually being excited about it. And you're spreading that excitement and that enjoyment with other people, which is great, right? But then if you only have that, if you only have the ability to temporarily fill your mind with positive thoughts, because at the end of the day, you can't maintain that control forever, right? Unless you've practiced meditation. What happens then is you will get very disappointed when the mind suddenly just turns on you, and all these positive thinking that you've been harnessing throughout the day now turns its other side, and now you get the negative backlash from all that. If you don't know meditation, if you haven't learned to control your mind yet, this can feel like an overwhelming process, and you feel like you're taking one step forward only to take 2 steps back all the time. So you need to learn both things. You need to learn meditation, and you also need to learn affirmations and to fill that void with positivity. Thanks for watching, and let me know in the comments below what you want me to do videos on in the future, and see you next time.